Welcome to the Advanced Licensing Podcast Series with CEO John Bellave. Here, we unlock the power of licensing, showing you how to own a business, build wealth, and keep control without the limits of franchising or the risk of going it alone. John sits down with the leaders of today's most exciting companies to reveal how licensing turns opportunity into freedom for you and your family. This is your inside track to building the business of your future. Let's dive in.
Welcome, everyone, to the Advanced Licensing Podcast Series. Appreciate you taking the time. We're going to have a series of podcasts that are going to really showcase licensing and some of our portfolio companies throughout the next few weeks. And we're going to really dig into licensing because I still feel that licensing is still in its infancy stages, even though a lot of us, when we hear licensing, we think of Disney. You know, anytime you want to sell something via Disney, you got to pay a license fee in order to sell their goods, service, or product. There's other companies out there using the licensing model. And I think it's going to become popular. I think we're ahead of the curve right now, and we're in the forefront of really taking companies and expanding nationally, in some cases internationally. So I'll give you a little bit of background. I know usually I'm going to have a guest on these podcasts. So today I'm just going to do it alone just to give you some context moving forward and a little bit of history. I learned about licensing about 20 years ago, and it was selling 99-cent stores. And what I saw with 99-cent stores, people were spending a couple $100,000 to get in the business, pay a license fee to get in the 99-cent. This was, remember 20 years ago, 99-cent stores were pretty popular. Not so much today. A lot of these 99-cent stores, you'd be hard pressed to go in there and find something for 99 cents. But at the time they were popular, and I would see somebody spend big money to get into the business, and the failure rate, wasn't 99%, but it was probably close to 95%. But I saw how it worked. I saw how the power of licensing really just helped this company grow and sell units. That's what they called them, units. And at the time, about a year later, I met my business partner, Larry Kozin, on the golf course. And, we look in the same direction. When you meet somebody, you always look for some commonalities. And, I knew that Larry was business minded. He had a few things he was working on. I owned a commodity brokerage firm, so I knew what it was like to have ownership. But I knew licensing could be a path forward with something. I just didn't know what. And he introduced to me a chamber of commerce, a national chamber of commerce, where the whole idea was giving away a free lifetime membership to the chamber. And thought it was a great idea where we could really help businesses, small businesses, micro businesses, by giving them a free membership to the chamber. That whole business model is really about selling memberships. Any local chamber of commerce, that's what they want to do, is sell you a membership. That's the business model. And this was a free membership. And you don't make money giving away free lifetime memberships, but what we saw was an opportunity to open up local chambers of commerce. And it was a company we rebranded to Main Street Chamber of Commerce. And at the time, we wanted to sell licenses to put people in the Chamber of Commerce business. We were calling them chapter presidents. And we would charge a license fee to a chapter president where they could give away free memberships. Now, why would somebody pay a license fee to give away free memberships? What we found is most chapter presidents owned a business, whether it was an insurance company, credit card processing, home remodeling, and they would purchase a chamber of commerce for their local chapter and give away free memberships. Now, when that member needed a good service or product that chapter president sold, they almost felt obligated to do business with the chapter president. So it was a way for them to get unlimited leads of small micro business owners to do business with them. And we sold over 171 chapters across the United States, a lot of the major markets, built up the membership to over 200,000 members in a short period of time. After 5 years, we sold the chamber and we bought it back actually 8 years after that. And we're going to have a segment on Main Street Chamber of Commerce in an upcoming series. But at the time when we sold it, Larry was part-time selling mattresses and furniture. Now, when I say very part-time, making $1,000, $2,000 a week, just selling mattresses out of a storage unit on Charleston and Decatur in Las Vegas. People would meet him at the storage unit, lay down on a mattress in plastic in 110-degree temperatures, and people would give him the cash, put it on their back of their vehicle, and drive off. And he would sell furniture out of his house. Not everybody would come over. He'd obviously vet them out first, but I would walk over to Larry's house and I would see the nicest furniture, and they all had tags on them. And I'd say, why do you have the tags? He goes, well, it's for sale. And sure enough, 2 weeks later, I'd come back and that furniture was replaced. It was sold. His wife, Angie, would say many times she'd come home and the dining room table was going out the front door. But we saw this as a business that could be duplicated. Because a lot of times with licensing, we want to find something that, hey, makes sense, can be duplicatable. And what we found is that what Larry was doing, it's something that we could license. So we started Ideal Furniture, and we put together a whole program for licensing, put together the collateral material, the opportunity website, the license contracts, everything that was really just airtight, and started marketing, looking for people that wanted to get in the mattress furniture business. Lo and behold, we opened up over 320 locations in about an 8-year period, did a lot of money in license fees, but we put people in the business, and phenomenal business. There's still locations today. Now, when the pandemic hit, that whole industry shut down. You couldn't get inventory. We could not put people in the mattress furniture business when you couldn't get supplies. Thank goodness at the time, we realized that licensing, we could do it with Main Street Chamber of Commerce. We could do it with Ideal Furniture. We could do it with really any company. And we started a transportation logistics company. That was more out of a necessity, because in the mattress furniture business, that is the biggest downfall, is getting something delivered that's not damaged. It was damaged 30, 40% of the time. So we said, okay, well, let's start our own transportation logistics company. And that's what we did. It was white glove for less. We started selling licenses. We brought in over $2 million in licenses and licensees in about a 1-year period, and before an app was even developed. And we decided that, hey, we need to expand beyond what we know. Let's look for other licensors, people that have a business that want to expand and just don't know how to do it. We started advanced licensing in 2019, and we took on something that we never did before. And we took on an idea. Larry and I were pitched in an Uber ride in North Carolina about an idea of the Uber of dirty laundry. And at the time, we were interested. I mean, first of all, we thought, what a great idea. Now, it's pickup on-demand laundry has been around for a long time. In fact, in some major, like New York City, they've had pickup and delivery forever. But this was something where it could be open to anybody. We went back to the hotel lobby and we talked for hours, but we created a company called Dirty Laundry Solutions. And we started selling licenses. And I always say, I look back and I say, thank goodness we had another license, because we couldn't sell mattress furniture license, but we had Dirty Laundry Solutions and started selling licenses, which was pickup and delivery. So it was nothing but an idea. And when you have an idea, it's a whole different set of challenges to get to market, because you really have to take that idea and turn it into a business model where everything has to work, operations, the licenses, who's going to get paid, how they're going to get paid, working with laundromats. Well, pandemic hit, the whole industry, it was kind of the spark for on-demand laundry. Now the industry is on fire. You can't slow it down. The on-demand laundry, it's the fastest growing on-demand sector in the US, projected to grow 10 times over the next 5 years to be a $340 billion industry. But it makes sense. Same thing we saw with rideshare, food delivery, Instacart. Well, now it's happening with laundry. And, right place, right time, right industry, right? And we're going to have a segment on that company that's going to be in the series as well. Right now it's rebranded Kathy Ireland Laundry, and having a icon in licensing, Kathy Ireland on the team has been nothing but amazing. But let's talk more about licensing and why you should consider, as an entrepreneur that has a successful business. What I find is that you've thought about expanding. You thought about, okay, how am I going to expand? Most people, the first go-to is, I got a franchise. They think the franchising is the way until they start going down that road and realize the cost, the red tape, the amount of time that it takes to get to market can be painstaking. So not only that, as a license or a franchisor, you got to charge royalty fees. And I say, when I talk to somebody, that the number one reason they want to go into franchising is because they don't want to pay a royalty, because whether you're profitable or not, the royalty comes off the top. A lot of times there's national advertising cost, right? National advertising, where you're taking 3-4% in advertising, again, right off of the top. So royalties is an issue when it comes to franchising. A franchise agreement is about 300 to 400 pages. A license agreement is about 10 pages. So it's really, there's a difference. Now, people that choose licensing over franchising, it's a faster way to get to market. We can usually take an existing business that's operating, that has kind of a flagship location, and get it to market, where we've created the materials, the branding, the website, opportunity website, the marketing, generating leads. We can do that in 45 to 60 days. Get to market quick, and somebody will pay you a license fee to duplicate what you've already done, what you're already doing. It's the art of duplication. And licensing is that path. Now, a lot of owners, they think, okay, I want to open up another location. I say the do-it-yourself business model, which is possible. You have a location that's doing $1 million a year. You want to open up another location. Hope it does $1 million a year. But what you're doing is the amount of money that it takes to open up another location, the resources, the time that it takes you away from the primary business. That business could suffer because you're away from that business. And you hope that it does as well as your first main location. It may not, but you're doubling your expenses. Puts a lot of pressure on the owner. So that's why when we talk about licensing, and I'm not saying there's a right way or wrong way, I'm just giving you an alternative of how licensing can be that path forward as a business owner. If you're an entrepreneur and you have an idea, I always say ideas, you need ideas, because if you don't have an idea, how can you execute, right? So it comes from the idea. Thank goodness Larry Kozin is the idea man. I execute the process, but having an idea is important. And if you have an idea, you have a concept, we sign an NDA. We want to protect what you've thought of or your idea, but we can talk about how we can take that idea and run with it and make it into a real business. And we have one of those companies, obviously Kathy Iron Laundry is one of them. Another company you'll hear about in an upcoming series, Ready Lockers. It was nothing but an idea, and now it's a business. So having something proven that's working, great. But if not, if it's an idea, we're open to that as well. We have brands that certainly are having an impact in different industries. We are by no means maxed out on what we can do. The nice thing is we have a broker network, a talented network of licensing brokers that will represent your brand. You control your brand. You control the products, the services that they use. The license agreement that we use, and we spent over 6 figures to get this license agreement where we want it, has been tested and proven and airtight. And that does nothing but protect the licensor, right? That's what you want if you're going to expand your business. But you have control. Now, there is flexibility on how somebody runs the business, right? Franchise, remember, it's their way or no way or hit the highway. Licensing, there's a lot of flexibility. You want to give that licensee flexibility on how to run the business. Now, you're going to give them the playbook on how to run it, best practices, what works, what doesn't work. They ultimately have make their own decisions. You want them to follow what already works. But we knew that when we were putting people in the mattress furniture business, they have the right to use the name Ideal Furniture of Green Bay, Ideal Furniture Vegas, Ideal Furniture. They could use the name. You're creating a national presence, but it's not required. They could call themselves whatever you want. There were some people that decided they wanted to use their own name. It's their choice. But of course, there's power in numbers when you use the same name. So with licensing and having a license agreement that's really airtight, and we've been doing this for a long time. The nice thing is there's been zero litigation. We've never been sued. No one sued us, in a very litigious, country we live in today. It's a testament of doing things right. And that's what we do. You always do the next right thing and the next right thing follows. But we could have sued if we wanted to, but that's not what we choose. We treat people the way we want to be treated. It's the best way to do business. We've really built this company on, I call it universal principles. Some call it spiritual principles. It's really basic stuff, but it's allowed us to be successful in helping many brands in different industries to really excel and grow their business, because someone will pay you a license fee. Why come out of your own pocket? Have somebody pay a license fee to duplicate what you've done successfully so you can continue to build the business, build the brand, become a national powerhouse team. So if licensing, speed to market, a lot of times low overhead, franchise rules, fees, control, do it yourself, high risk, no brand equity, and a longer ramp up, right? So if you heard something that says, okay, this makes sense, I'm interested, feel free to go to our website, advancedlicensing.com. Check out the website, fill out the form, and just let us know that you're interested in a consultation. Doesn't cost anything. I'm more than open to speaking with somebody that has a business and wants to expand. To me, that's exciting. If you have an idea, I'm interested to talk to you. You don't have to share the idea until we sign an NDA, but I want you to feel comfortable. And that gentleman that pitched us in an Uber ride in North Carolina did very well financially before he sold his ownership interest in the company. And he trusted us. We were actually watching a Sunday football in North Carolina, having a burger or We were eating something, and then we were taking an Uber ride back, and he felt comfortable. He trusted us, but we understand trust is something that's just not given. We can earn that trust. That's what we do, because we're looking at long-term, profitable, fruitful relationship. We're in this with you. We really want to be the catalyst to take your business to the next level. Certainly stay plugged in. And if you're on a channel here and you subscribe, definitely subscribe, because we're going to every week come out with a new business, not new to us, but new to you. As far as companies that we're representing, we're going to profile them. And if you're on board with us as one of our licensors, one of our clients, you'll also have a spot on that podcast, on this podcast, so we can let the world know who you are and what you've done and what you're about to do. So I appreciate each and every one of you. Look forward to working with you. God bless everyone. We'll see you next episode. Thank you.